The Lebanese government denounced before the Arab League the Israeli escalation of violence against its country and the region. The prosecutor's office of Venezuela announced the arrest of Rafael Ramirez Colina, mayor of Maracaibo, capital of Zulia, northwestern state, for corruption while he was in his post. The government of Mexico presented this Thursday a series of reforms to the Constitution and secondary laws which guarantee support, protection, and substantive equality for women. Hello, welcome from the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The Lebanese government denounced before the Arab League the Israeli escalation of violence against its country and the region. Precisely, the Lebanese permanent representative Ali Hassan al-Halabi held Israel accountable for the war tensions in the region as the occupation violates all international resolutions. Furthermore, during the emergency meetings of the group's council, al-Halabi called for the activation of international mechanisms to condemn Israel for this flagrant and systematic violation of international resolutions and laws.
The brutal Israeli aggression has left over 2,000 deaths and over 10,000 injured civilians, in addition to forcing the displacement of over 1.2 million Lebanese, that is, a quarter of the population, to various areas of Lebanon. Some of them cannot find shelter and are sleeping in the outdoors, leaving children, women, and the elderly exposed to the Israeli genocidal attacks. The blatant Israeli offensive reaches the level of crimes against humanity, and it is described as a violation of humanitarian ethics and principles.
On his speech, the Assistant Secretary General of the Arab League, Hossam Saki, reiterated his warning of Israeli plans for escalating conflicts in the region.
The Arab League and its member states have been separately warning for months of the impending risks of a regional war, the consequences of which won't be alien to any of the sides. And today we find ourselves on the brink of it due to the arrogance and recklessness of the Israeli occupying leadership, which insists on setting fires in the region, and it does not stop at its crimes, as Israel continues to commit crimes in Gaza. And now the Zionist regime wants to replicate the brutal scenario in Lebanon with total impunity, backed by the world's inability to prevent its criminal behavior, which violates legal, humanitarian, and moral regulations.
In this context, on Thursday, the Israeli occupation army carried out new aerial attacks against the capital of Lebanon, Beirut. The bombing occurred in the Moawad neighborhood located to the south of the Lebanese capital, though the Israeli forces continue without providing any information on the matter. Meanwhile, the Hezbollah resistance movement confirmed the detonation of an explosive device targeting a checkpoint of the occupying forces in the locality of Malun al-Ras. 2 Israeli soldiers were reported killed in the explosion, while several were wounded. The Israeli genocidal forces committed 8 massacres during the last 24 hours against families in the Gaza Strip. Health authorities reported that during the aggression they killed at least 90 civilians and wounded another 169. Emergency services reported that they are still searching for bodies trapped on the rubble or scattered on the roads. With these new crimes, the number of Palestinians killed since October 7, 2023 rises to 41,788, and the number of wounded increases to 96,794. Most of them women and children. And the Governorate of Jerusalem denounced the human rights violations and aggressions committed by Israel against Palestinians in that territory in the third quarter of 2024. The Governorate gave its account reporting dozens of Palestinians killed, 304 arrested, and the incursion of 16,138 settlers in the Al-Aqsa Mosque on this term. The authorities accused Israel of conducting imprisonments, demolitions, evictions, deportation, and daily raids in the mosque. In this regard, they warned that the aggressions are part of the Zionist regime's expansion and its plans for new settlements in occupied Palestinian territories. And the Iranian government summoned the ambassadors of Germany and Austria after their governments condemned the massive Iranian attack against Israel. Both ambassadors were criticized for their country's declarations on the legitimate response made by Tehran against the Zionist regime's aggressions in the area. The foreign ministry stressed that the Persian country is fully determined to defend national and regional security. It also indicated that they attacked Israel after 2 months of restraint in order to help establish stable security in the Middle East. And in Cuba, youth are leading a national campaign in solidarity with the Palestinian cause and to denounce the genocide the Israeli regime is committing on the territory. The initiative will last until October 7th, a date that marks 1 year since the start of the Zionist onslaught against the Gaza Strip that has cost the life of more than 41,000 people. The call, launched on Monday by the Union of Young Communists of Cuba, urges young people not to remain indifferent and unite in defense of life. To this end, various activities will be carried out during the week to raise awareness of the situation in Palestine and reaffirm the strong solidarity of the Cuban people with the Palestinian cause. And in Germany, thousands of demonstrators gathered in Berlin on Thursday to protest against the government's stance on the conflict in Ukraine. This way, protesters called to halt Germany's delivery of arms to Ukraine while urging the signing of the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. Under the slogan "Never Again War," citizens held the demonstration on the Day of German Unity, the annual holiday commemorating the reunification of the nation in 1990. Those present also expressed their solidarity with the people of Palestine with banners calling for an end to Israel's occupation in the territory. Let's now take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. In Thailand, heavy rainfalls have caused flash floods in at least 14 provinces in the country. The Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation reported that over 28,800 families in the northern, northeastern, and central Thai provinces have been affected by the downpours, while around 193,307 families residing in 5,000 villages suffer structural damages. Furthermore, authorities have confirmed at least 49 deaths and 28 injured since August 16th. And in China, Typhoon Krathon's downpours triggered flash floods and landslides in the port city of Kaohsiung in southern Taiwan. The weather event made landfall in the locality, bringing about 2 deaths and 123 injured, in addition to roads blocked by falling trees and flooding. Likewise, meteorological agencies forecasted that Krathon could degrade to a tropical depression during its transit towards the north of the region. Therefore, local authorities suspended academic and work activities as a precautionary measure. And Hurricane Kirk reached Category 3 on Wednesday and is expected to gain strength as it moves through the Atlantic Ocean. In its latest report, the United States National Hurricane Center registered the storm moving at 17 kilometers per hour at about 1,820 kilometers east-northeast of the Leeward Islands in the Lesser Antilles. The institution also noted that storm surge from Kirk could affect Bermuda and the east coast of the U.S. and the Bahamas by the weekend. So far, no warnings or alerts have been issued for coastal areas, and it poses no threat to the mainland. The Prosecutor's Office of Venezuela announced the arrest of Rafael Ramirez Colina, Mayor of Maracaibo, capital of the Southern Northwestern state, for corruption while he was in his post. The prosecutor's office highlighted that Ramirez Colina's detention is within the framework of combating corruption for the sake of the public administration's honesty and order in the country. The authority entity further referred that both the mayor and his collaborators will be presented in the coming hours before the Court of Small Causes to be charged for the serious offenses. Moreover, the prosecutor's office informed that in coordination with the National Police specialized in cracking down on corruption, they collected paramount evidence that incriminated detainees. Regarding the arrest, the first vice president of the United Socialist Party of Venezuela, Diosdado Cabello, provided details on information obtained from the detainees themselves.
Some people were arrested in the Zulia state. They have already come out to defend them. They will regret having defended them when the truth comes out, but they will regret it badly, because each detainee is letting the cat out of the bag, so each of them knows how the process is, and it is an operation against corruption. They know, so they are demanding the immediate release of the alleged invincible fighter Rafael Ramirez, the mayor of Maracaibo. If I were them, I would not do anything like that. I would not do any of it because they're getting deep into the mud. Lots of people are getting into the mud, and they would be better off if they kept quiet, as it's very hard for you to hear this. How is it possible that wherever they go they steal in a shameless and vulgar way? And it is a society of accomplices. It is not that they steal for this. Everybody steals there, everybody, and they use these mayorships not only as petty cash, but also as big cash.
The Humanitarian Legal Assistance NGO of El Salvador launched a campaign to demand the government improve of life of thousands of people detained by the emergency regime pursued by President Nayib Bukele. As part of the assistance provided to the families of isolated detainees, the NGO requested judges to order a medical examination in prisons. So far, the police have incarcerated over 81,900 people. Therefore, humanitarian entities describe many of the arrests as arbitrary and illegal. In addition, they denounce death and serious injuries, assuring that Bukele is selling a fake security model.
The unconstitutional president Nayib Bukele, let's say something important about him. He went there to the United Nations to lie. That is the truth. The unconstitutional president Nayib Bukele went to the United Nations to lie. Why do I say he was lying? Because he dared to say that human rights are respected here in El Salvador, which, first of all, is not true. Here, there are thousands of innocent people who are being processed unfairly for 30 months already in 5 prisons. And the majority isn't in top security Secot prison, of which he makes so much propaganda in favor of what we now know as the regime of exception.
And in Ecuador, President Daniel Noboa decreed a new state of emergency in 8 provinces amidst rising violence. The measure will be enforced for 60 days in the provinces of Guayas, Los Rios, Manabí, and the Metropolitan District of Quito, among others, where violence increased considerably during the last weeks. Noboa's administration established an exception regime at the beginning of January to stop organized crime and insecurity. However, citizens demand more accurate actions from the government. And in Venezuela, on Thursday, the political dialogue convened by the National Assembly began with the participation of parties and movements that took part in the July 28th presidential elections. The President of the National Assembly, Jorge Rodriguez, heads the work session, which will help to develop the duties set forth in the Constitution of the Republic in regards to the protection of the country's sovereignty. It also aims at modifying the electoral laws to put an end to the practices used by politicians who call for invasion, support illegal sanctions, and incite coup d'etat. In this regard, Rodriguez emphasized that politicians cannot promote disruptive actions that put Venezuelans in harm's way.
No se puede.
You cannot participate in the political life of the nation and at the same time promote foreign military actions, or promote homicides, or promote car bombs. It is completely inconceivable. And it is not possible to combine political action with actions that can only be classified as terrorist. But that is what we are living today.
We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. The government of Mexico presented this Thursday a series of reforms to the Constitution and secondary laws which guarantee support, protection, and substantive equality for women. President Claudia Sheinbaum indicated that these proposals will be sent to the Senate of the Republic for the Congress to then analyze and approve. The first female head of state of the Mexican Republic emphasized that the reforms aims at establishing a substantive equality at the constitutional level, which goes beyond the equality of women and men before the law. She added that the initiatives also seek to guarantee the right to a life free of violence against women, teens, and children in the country, as well as to bridge the gender wage gap. Let's listen to statements made by the President-elect during the morning press briefing.
Today, we invite the women of the Cabinet because we are going to present to them, as I promised in my campaign and at the Zocalo on October 1st, all the initiatives that we are sending today to the Senate of the Republic for constitutional reforms and laws for the support and protection of women. As Mexico's first female president, our government's obligation is to protect women.
In Argentina, President Javier Milei vetoed this Thursday a law on university financing, ignoring the demands of thousands of people who participated in massive marches in defense of public education. Milei's decree states that the bill under analysis allegedly does not seek to defend or guarantee the protection and sustainability of funding for national universities. Both rights would damage the government politically. The law on university financing obliges the executive power to adjust the budgetary items destined to salaries, as well as to cover operating expenses, special projects, and science and technology programs. After the veto, members of the Union for the Homeland Coalition announced that they will request a special session for October 9th in order to reject the appeal of the head of state. And in Ghana, hundreds of mostly university students protested on the streets of the capital city, Accra, on Thursday to demand an immediate halt to illegal mining. Demonstrators plan to stage rallies for 3 days and are also demanding the release of 54 activists detained last month for marching with the same demand. The government's handling of illegal mining, particularly its impact on natural resources and rural livelihoods, has become a flashpoint issue in the run-up to the West African country's presidential elections in December. Labor unions say they will begin a nationwide strike on October 10th to force authorities to take urgent action.
We'll demonstrate and demonstrate and demonstrate and demonstrate. So our leaders realize that the issues we are talking about are critical issues. We'll keep demonstrating. Today will not be the end of it, or we'll protest and protest and protest. On the 10th of October, the organized labor is going on strike. So everybody is coming on board. So we have started earlier. Others will join.
It's like poisoned air. That would be the next worst thing. This is poisoned water. You can't check every tomato you buy. You can't check every onion you buy. It's going to get to everyone, right? And we already don't have a proper healthcare system. Do we really want to play this game? Is this a game you really want to play? Like, this doesn't end well for anyone.
In Saudi Arabia, we will discover Al-Faw, a city that, in time, is lost, buried under the sands of the desert that holds secrets of ancient civilizations. Let's see.
An archaeological gem located at the intersection of Wadi ad-Dawasir and the Tuwaiq Cliff in the heart of Saudi Arabia that has been a key trading center since the Sumerian era. Because of its strategic location in Mesopotamia, it became a meeting point for cultures such as Akkadians, Babylonians, Persians, Greeks, Romans, Arabs, and Ottomans. Each of these civilizations left their mark in architecture, art, and daily life. Recent excavations have revealed palaces, temples, and artifacts that transport us to a rich and complex past. This place is more than ruins. It is a window into millennia of human history.
Más que ruinas, es una ventana a milenios de historia humana. Sus vestigios conectan a los habitantes actuales.
Its vestiges connect today's inhabitants with their ancestral roots, strengthening the sense of community and belonging. Extreme weather conditions, erosion, and the passage of time threaten this priceless heritage, but archaeologists and conservators work tirelessly to protect this treasure for generations.
Incansablemente para proteger este tesoro y transmitirlo a las futuras generaciones. En la actualidad, Al-Faw se encuentra...
Al-Faw is currently at the center of an ambitious restoration and enhancement project. Thanks to the efforts of archaeologists, historians, and volunteers, this treasure of humanity is being revealed to the world, with its recent inscription on UNESCO's World Heritage List, giving recognition to its universal importance and a call to the international community to protect this unique legacy.
A la comunidad internacional para proteger este legado único.
We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For teleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.